Today we're doing a lesson on the cosine law. So far we've had lessons on primary trig ratios, which is SOHCAHTOA, and we use that when we have a right triangle or a 90-degree angle. Then we did the sine law. The sine law is used for any triangle, specifically non-right angle triangles, but it will work for right angle as well. And we use that when we know a pair, so when we know an angle and its matching side. Today we're going to be talking about the cosine law. So the cosine law is used when we don't know a pair. So there's two formulas that I'm going to be giving you today. They're basically the exact same formula, except we're going to use one if we're trying to find an angle and the other if we're going to try and find the length. The first formula that I'm going to give you is for the length. So this formula is c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos of c. So the important thing to remember is that whatever length you're trying to find, this is the angle that you need to be putting in. And whatever two lengths you know are the two lengths you're going to be using here after the 2 in the formula. The second formula that I'm going to be giving you, like I said, it is just the first formula that's been rearranged, is if we're trying to find an angle C, and I'll just put a little angle sign here so you remember, is equal to cos inverse of a squared plus b squared minus c squared divided by 2ab. In example 1, we're going to be solving for a side, so we will be using the length formula that I gave you on the previous slide. Now, just before I begin, obviously this is the note on the cosine law, so we will be using the cosine law, but after this lesson, you will have to determine what you need to be using. So whether you're using primary trig ratios, sine law, or cosine law, that's going to be up to you. When I take a look at this question, if I didn't know I was using cosine law, I would know that I had to, because if I look, I have an angle of 40, but I don't know its matching side length. And I know these two side lengths, 9.8 and 8.6, but I don't know either of these angles. So I do not know a pair. I also don't have any indication that this is a right triangle, even though it may look like it is. The little square is not in the corner and it doesn't say 90, so I can't assume that it is a right triangle. So going ahead, the first thing that I'm going to do is write my formula. Every single time you should be writing your formula. If you start plugging in numbers and you get them wrong, at least if you write the formula, I can give you part marks. So c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos c. Now I told you earlier that whatever angle you're using and whatever side length you're using need to be our c. The a and the b can be whichever you prefer. It really does not matter. So what I'm going to be doing is side length c is my x. So x squared is equal to, I'm just going to choose 9.8 for my a. So 9.8 squared plus my other side, which was 8.6 squared, minus 2 times my a, which I said was 9.8, times my b, which I said was 8.6, times cos of c. Now remember, anytime after a sine, cos, or tan, we need to be putting in an angle. So I need to be putting in 40. Now, if you have a calculator where you can type this all in at once, you may absolutely do that. I will just be showing you all of the steps, but I will show you the line that you could jump to if that were the case. So x squared is equal to 9.8 squared, which is a 96.04, plus 8.6 squared, which is a 73.96, minus 2 times 9.8 times 8.6 times cos of 40. X squared is equal to 170, so I'm going to add up these two. Now this is all one big term, so please do not think that you could multiply these three together and then combine it with these two. That does not work like that. So now that I know this in blue is all one big term, I can calculate that term. 2 times 9.8 times 8.6 times cos of 40, and I'm going to be getting 129.12. X squared is equal to 170, subtract 129.12, so a 40.88. And I'm almost done, but since I want x and not x squared, I do need to take the square root of both, and I'm going to be getting x is equal to 6.39 centimeters. In this example, I am finding an angle, so I am absolutely going to start off by writing my formula. So angle C is equal to cos inverse of a squared plus b squared minus c squared divided by 2ab. And the only important thing when I'm looking at this question is that whatever angle I'm looking for has to have a matching side length of c. Again, the A and B do not matter. The C is the only thing that matters. So I'm going to be saying that angle C is equal to cos inverse of A squared. I'll just choose this 5.5. So 5.5 squared plus 5 squared. Subtract my C, which is my 5.3 squared, divided by 2 times A, which was 5.5, times b, which was 5. Angle C is equal to cos inverse. Now when you're doing these on your calculator, I do want you to do the top first and get an answer, and then the bottom and get an answer. When students try and do this all on one line on their calculator, 99% of the time they get it wrong. So please just take your time and do top and then bottom. So on the top, 5.5 squared plus 5 squared minus 5.3 squared, we are going to be getting 27.16 divided by 2 times 5.5 times 5, which is 55. Now on our calculator, if we're finding angle C, we will take the cos inverse of 27.16 divided by 55, and as long as you're getting 60.41, which we know since it's an angle we can just round to 60 degrees, you know you've typed it into your calculator right. If you did not get that, please attempt to do the 27.16 divided by the 55 first and get a decimal before trying the next step. And if you still can't get it, obviously please let me know. Example 3 is a word problem. So Miss Goodrow's cell phone detects 2 transmission antennas. One is 7 kilometers away and the other is 13 kilometers away. From her position, the 2 antennas appear to be separated by an angle of 80 degrees. How far apart to the nearest kilometer are the 2 antennas? So before we begin, we do need to draw a diagram. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw me. Apparently my head's not attached to my body, but that's okay. So what's happening is I'm seeing 2 antennas. One of them is 7 kilometers away, and the other is 13 kilometers away. Now in the question, it says that from my position, they're separated by an angle of 80 degrees. Now this diagram definitely doesn't look like an 80, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. The question wants to know how far apart are the 2 antennas. So this was one antenna, 7 kilometers away. This was the other, 13 kilometers away, and they want to know this distance. Now again, obviously cosine law, no, this is going to be the cosine law, but when I look at it, I should know that I'm using the cosine law because I know an angle, but I don't know its matching side, and I know 2 sides, and I do not know their matching angles. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write my formula for a length. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos of c. And I'm going to say, if this is the angle that I know and this is the length that I'm trying to find, obviously those are my c's. So x squared is equal to 13 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 13 times 7 times cos of 80. Now again, you can go ahead and you can calculate all of these separately, and if you do, you will get 169 plus 49 minus 31.6039. And then if you go even further, you'll get x squared is equal to 180